All right, welcome everyone to the Gathering Place. I'm Tom Ray, and we're so glad to have you join us today to be a part of this discussion. We encourage you to invite someone to join you as we watch this together and participate together. And we'd also like to hear from you, your thoughts, your comments about what we're talking about, or any ideas that you might have for the Gathering Place in the near future. We'd like to hear from you on that. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our hosts for today. And we have Ben and Talora Bookie. Say hello. Say hello.
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 Hello. All right. I'm going to turn it over to them. Take it away. Tell us what our title is tonight.
Tom's doing that because he liked how I said it earlier. So now I have to try to recreate this. So I feel like a lot of pressure right now. But so we're going to talk about the holidays. Yay!
One more time. I need the last part a little louder.
Guttural in there, but
So
You
yay
should
or
have
grr?
played a video of "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch."
specifically though, we're going to talk about loneliness. If I can even say that word, loneliness. Why can't I say it? Loneliness. I'm pulling a Tom Ray today. I don't know. But, and it's a big issue that comes up in the holidays, and a lot of research has been going on this idea of loneliness over the past several years. Primarily, historically, it's been really focused on older adults and how lonely they tend to be, but especially starting in the 2010s, the rise of social media, smartphones, younger people are lonelier than adults, like 65 and older adults. And so we also find that 78% of those who identify as being lonely also tend to have co-occurring depression and anxiety. So this time of year, then, of course, just compounds all of these issues for people. And so we just want to kind of talk about that and just what do we do about it, and what does God say about that? And so I don't know if anybody wants to take off from that. There's like,
Well, I love the Christmas season specifically. I love the holidays, getting together, and I find that not everybody feels the same way. And it's just another day. Take it or leave it. But there's something about it that, especially the holiday, the festivities going on around the Christmas season, just the snowfall, the lights, the wonder, as well as obviously the birth of Jesus that we celebrate every year. If I can elaborate a little bit, every year when our family, immediate family, gathers around the tree, we read the Christmas story together, even though we've heard it every year since we started having Christmases together. But we'd read it, and then we'd pray and thank the Lord for all that He's done for us and so forth. And then we would partake in exchanging gifts and things of that nature. But I've seen a lot more of just partially because of the anxiety of looking for gifts for people, the pressure that some feel about that, and it would be just easier just to pass it up and not have the day at all to celebrate, so there wouldn't be that pressure. But then there's others that, man, they would go into debt, max out the credit card to make sure there's a great Christmas and just deal with the payments afterwards, which is not a good idea either. So there needs to be a middle of the road kind of experience there, I guess, to find balance in both. We've seen lots of movies. What is it? Of course, The Grinch is as Talora mentioned a moment ago, but also Ebenezer Scrooge and Bah Humbug, and getting a person out of their selfishness to be selfless and to be thinking about others, because that, after all, is what it's all about. Jesus, the Bible said, was given to us as a gift from God, right? For God so loved the world that he gave, right? And so that's the greatest gift of all. Today I spoke a message called Jesus, Our Living Hope, or Our Living Hope at Christmas, right? Which follows us all the time. And I love this idea. I'm going to share this really quick and I'll let you guys speak. Okay. Mary was pregnant with hope, pregnant with Jesus. And at first, it didn't show. But the more Jesus grew in her, the more it was harder to hide, right? And that's what we want to have in our lives. The more Jesus grows inside of us, the more we become more like him, the more it's hard to hide. And so I love that about that. But that's my 2 cents. Take it or leave it.
That's good. Whenever I think about the holidays, I always think about family, because that was always, my family. I know this doesn't matter, but I always think because they're from down south, right? The eastern side of Kentucky and the western side of Virginia, they tend to families like really connected, and you're seeing all of your cousins, and that's how it was growing up. We were always having big Christmas. I mean, all the holidays were big, and as you get older, that starts to dwindle because the people that were above you, right, the generations, they start to pass away. I know after my mom passed away, Ben and I tried to do like some big, especially Christmas, which we barely even have our house decorated this year at this point. But we were hosting my family, my side of the family, and there's 5 of us kids, and each of us have multiple kids. So they have multiple kids, and it's really big. And I miss that because we haven't done it the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And I love my family. But the things that really stick out to me for Christmas, and I know you were talking about how that people like overspend money. And I remember overspend money just to go into debt. But then there's people out there that don't have the money to spend and rely on places like churches and Toys for Tots and Angel Tree. But one of my favorite stories, and I probably have shared it on here before, but I think it was 1982, 83. Must have been 83, a long time ago. back before there was color television. No, I'm just kidding. But we am I frozen?
No.
Okay. I thought I was frozen for a minute. We didn't have a lot of money. My mom and my parents had just separated. I can't remember if the divorce was final at that point. And a local church, adopted our family, and they came in and they're like, "What do you want?" And that's when Sears catalogs would come out.
Oh, wow.
And I saw Cabbage Patch dolls. They had like this whole huge nursery. You could get everything that a Cabbage Patch doll would need. And that's what I wanted. That was the first thing on my mouth, Cabbage Patch doll. So I didn't get a Cabbage Patch doll, but I got a Flower Kid, I think is what it was called. I'll have to look it up, but she was totally in a seated position. She had the yarn hair, the plastic face. Her clothes were sewn on. There was no changing those clothes. And I loved her. And I would take her to church with me. And she was going to get Jesus in her life. I really believe that. She was going to grow up like that. But those things have such a lasting impression, because I can't remember every Christmas, but that Christmas meant so much to me because I know, we were going through like this trauma of our parents separating, and us moving from Michigan to Indiana, and just things changing so much. And so for me, that was the most impactful, was what we as a church can do for those in the community. And it's not about the gifts. I mean, it really isn't, but it's about the love, right? The love that we show other people. I care about you so much that I want to bless you and gift you this, and I think that's something that really impacts more than just saying, oh, here's a gift. Oh, they also had Smurf wrapping paper too back then. I love Smurfs.
Smurfs were banned by the church, but
oh, I mean, I don't even like Smurfs. I don't know why I would say that, but back then it was cool.
I'd also like to say that Cabbage Patch dolls are creepy. Always have been, always will be.
I actually have 2 now.
Oh.
I actually have 2 real ones. My brother and his wife bought me one.
Real
and
ones.
Yeah, real signature on the butt and everything. And one of my exes bought me a Cabbage Patch doll, so I have 2 redheaded ones. But I think that, like I said, it's not about so much about buying, but it's about the blessings. That's what God gave us. You just talked about it, the gift of Jesus. I mean, what a blessing. What a blessing. And thank you, Wendy. Thank you. Did you see that? It says that's because you're a boy. That's
I know.
Why you don't like
Give her
Cabbage
down. Thumb down.
Well, maybe Tom had one of those Chucky ones. What they call them?
Oh,
My Little Buddy or something.
My buddy.
Yeah.
My buddy Andy.
No, never got into that.
So I didn't want those either. But my grandma did buy me a pound puppy because she thought I needed one.
Pound puppy.
But anyway, so one of the things I want to point out, and hopefully people have heard this, is just this idea about connection and how important that is. And just because we are talking about this idea of loneliness, and a lot of times, like even at family gatherings, right, people feel disconnected and lonely in those moments, even surrounded by people. And so I mean, I think any of us could answer the question, but if you need to get connected, go to church, right? Like that's what this season's about. But what do you do when you go to church and you just don't feel connected, or you're new because you haven't been there? And maybe even answering that in the reverse of like, how does the church reach out to people in this season? And of course, Laura talked about, a church, it's good to buy presents or things like that, but intangible, like actual face-to-face connections. How do we do that?
That's a good question. Well, we have to be intentional, number one.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be others-minded. And then tie those two together, being intentional and be others-minded. Because, it's always great to have good intentions.
Yeah. But
unless we are intentional, the intentions don't mean anything. Hey, I meant to do this for you, but right. And so we have to be intentional and thinking ahead. And I think as we get others minded, if we're thinking about others more above ourselves, then we will be more intentional. But how can we help one another? How can we make a difference in someone else's life and expecting nothing in return? Can we give a gift without expecting anything back? Yeah. Can we give something just because we want to bless somebody? I pray often, Lord, bless me to be a blessing. John Maxwell says we want to be a river, not a reservoir. We want the blessings of God to flow through us, right? And so for us to be a conduit of what God's doing, God has blessed me, so I'm going to pay it forward and bless somebody else. And if we could have that in our heart and in our mind, as we saw in Ebenezer Scrooge, after he had a come to Jesus moment, he went around trying to give everybody something, because he found the joy that was in Christmas. And I also talked about It's a Wonderful Life today, and how being grateful for so many things, being grateful for the people we have, even the annoying people. It just means that we're noticed, right? That annoying person notices us, right? Or that loose knob on the stairway that bugs us. It means that we have a house, right? And so we
Mhm.
have so much to be thankful for. So why can't we use that gratitude, especially in the season of Thanksgiving, to be mindful of what we have instead of complaining about what we don't have, and then taking that sense of gratitude and say, I want to bless somebody else. How can I make a difference in their life? And so we have to be intentional, both as an individual and as a church, as a ministry. We have to be thinking forward and attempting to think about this kind of benevolence, if you will, um, before the season even gets here. And I think it just takes some strategic planning and perhaps even using this season now to prepare for next season so that we can be ready when the time comes and have everything in place. Uh, but we have to start someplace.
Yeah.
So who can you impact today? It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be great. But if somebody knows that you're being thoughtful, making a difference to somebody, paying for somebody's gas or somebody's food in the drive-through lane, any of these things will be a blessing to someone, and it may be so small to you, but it may be so big to somebody else.
I think too, one of the most costly gifts that we can give anyone is our time. You can never replace it. Money you can replace, things you can replace, but your time, once that second is gone, you're not going to be able to replace it. And so gifting that to others, saying, I'm going to volunteer, I'm going to come see you, I'm going to, that's the cost, and that's the blessing.
I think,
Yeah.
like you were saying, Tom, I mean, it's about being intentional, especially this time of year. I mean, I I think like once November 1st hits, maybe even before that now, like we're so busy with everything, and when we feel that crushing weight of all of these things that we feel like we have to do, and so even ahead of time, like you were saying, like maybe it's like, you know what, like what can I remove from all of these things that I think I have to do that I really probably don't need to do, so that I can seek out someone who needs my time, who needs something that I can give them, because maybe nobody else sees them, but and praying about that, like, if you pray for it, say, God, put somebody in my line of vision, it's going to happen. So, and being ready for it when it does, because there are so many people, and they may not be the people that you would even think about, right? Because they might seem like people, like they've got people around them all the time. Or, but I was saying earlier, like sometimes those are the loneliest people.
Hmm.
Amazon
Scared my
here.
heart.
Every time we're on the broadcast, Amazon shows up. So, finding that way to just, how do we reach out? Like, how do look for those people? They are there, and it could be somebody like maybe they lost their spouse this year, and even though they have maybe like their
Hmm.
children or grandchildren around, they might be really really lonely still. And not that we can make up for that loss of the spouse, but their family's grieving too, so maybe just having somebody say, I see you, I see your grief, I see that this is probably a really painful time. Sometimes that's all they want or need to hear. Or looking at um, your neighbor, right, that never leaves their house, or maybe they just don't have a lot or seem to not have a lot. you know Take them a pie, just say, hey, like, just what do we want? You're like, I see you, I hear you, I love you, and just letting people know it in those ways.
That's powerful. I was thinking while you were talking, Ben, and yeah, I think that it's that very thing of just noticing people. You know how when you buy the car that you buy, you didn't notice any of those cars on the road until you bought one, and now you see them everywhere. It's kind of like that when we um, are intentional to see the need in somebody's life, we're more aware of it. I mean, how many people do we walk by every single day and we don't even notice that they're there? But to be intentional to say, okay, what's going on with this person and that person? Not just the people at the intersection that are panhandling, right? Not just those people, but people we pass by every day in the shopping mall or in the, at the gas station or wherever people were just walking past, and they're pumping their last few cents into the gas tank, and but have a smile on their face because maybe they're grateful. They have gratitude in their heart, but they're dealing with a lot of weight of the pressures of life, or they're facing a very bad financial situation, and you wouldn't know it because their demeanor says gratitude. I'm grateful for what I have. I'm grateful that I have this last bit of money I can put in the gas tank so I can go to work tomorrow. You know, all these things are important, but unless we're sensitive, unless we're praying, as you were suggesting, Ben, uh, we're going to miss it. We're going to miss out on an opportunity to be a blessing where God could use us. And I must say this, that everyone listening to me, this is so important, that we be obedient when we hear the voice of the Lord speak to us to go and help this person or say something kind to this person. Don't pass it up and don't think it's just you. Do something. Be the hands and feet of Jesus. Make a difference in somebody's life because they may be praying for you, just like Saul was praying for a word from the Lord, and there comes Ananias, and Saul becomes Paul, all that kind of thing. But there's people who are praying for a breakthrough, and you may be the tool that God wants to use to bring breakthrough into somebody else's life.
I was thinking about that too, is like with people, especially like the older or the elderly population, they might not have family that's close by, or I don't want to say they've been forgotten because that sounds so horrible. I don't think that they've been forgotten. It's just people get so busy with their lives that maybe they don't have the connection they once did when they were younger. And so maybe, and I'm going to call out the church because it is, it says that they know our love for, or was it, they know our, how's that Bible verse go? By our love for one another. They know who we are, right? And why aren't we going out shoveling someone's snow or just going and saying, oh, do you need some help? It's hands and feet of Jesus. Right there, you said it. Summed it right up.
Yeah. I got this text just a moment ago. We had a family from our church come and help dig our driveway out. So yesterday you might have saw the picture of us driving across the state to our west side of the state, and the weather was treacherous. We pulled into our city. We attempted to go to the church, but the parking lot had not been plowed out yet. So we decided to go to the house, and that hadn't been plowed out either, but we attempted to drive up the driveway anyway. And the vehicle went up, but then slid sideways right back down because it is up on a hill. And so I got stuck there, and we just went into the house. And then one of the members of the church showed up with his plow truck. He began to plow the driveway. Praise the Lord. There's another incident that happened. I'll just share the whole story because it's really cool. So as he's plowing, he ends up rolling over a rock that was in the front yard. It's out there for display, I guess, here at the parsonage. So it's underneath his truck. So I contacted our neighbor, and he and his son came over. and we spent about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, trying to figure out whatever way we could to get this rock out from under the vehicle, jacking the truck up, all kinds of stuff. Finally, we got it. And the guy from the church, his name is Steve. Steve pulled me out of the place where I was stuck so that he could finish plowing. And so he did that. And so I came back and slid right back in the same spot that I had got stuck in before. So there I was, stuck once again. So this morning, my wife and I got in her car. We managed to get out of the driveway and make it to church this morning. And we did our service. After service was over, his son-in-law said, "Hey, is your car still stuck?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, let's go over and get it unstuck." So we came back over today, and he and his son came over and helped um, dig me out and help me get out of where I was stuck. And then they shoveled the driveway, he and his son. And so I just got a text just a moment ago. This is the son's mom, and she said that he actually enjoyed shoveling today. And she said, because helping others makes you feel good. And he says, "Well, I wouldn't know. I couldn't feel anything." And then he proceeded to crack up and he said that I would like that one because it's my dry sense of humor. But he was thankful and experienced gratitude for being able to help other people. And I think that's pretty powerful. Yeah. So how we can help people shoveling their driveway or just saying hello or making a phone call makes a big difference. It's really weird right now. It sounds like I'm hearing an alien.
I know. Are you hearing it too?
I'm hearing, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was mine. I kept trying to fix it. Is it doing it for all of us?
I don't know. Yeah, or it's my alter ego.
It's all Tom. Well, I'm hearing it when I talk to you. Maybe it's me.
No, it's everybody.
Well, somebody's volume is too loud, apparently.
Yeah, I turned mine down. I got mine down to 66.
No. I know mine's down too, so
Yeah.
it's a mystery. So that's all right. Since we're having weird audio issues, we can probably wrap up anyway. But I just want to, if you're lonely this season, and especially like I said at the beginning, like depression or anxiety tend to be
she still hears it
high during this time of year. Sometimes it's hard to reach out, and sometimes we're just looking. We're just looking. Oh yeah, there we go. It is Talora's fault. It's all Talora's fault because now it's all gone. So, but like how it feels almost impossible though. Like if you have depression, you have anxiety going on top of this, and you're lonely. It feels impossible sometimes just to like reach out to somebody, and because we our mind, our brain lies to us. It tells us these things, right? Like that, Talora's the problem. It is her whole problem. And so, but she's messaging us in our private chat, so I'm just telling you what everybody's saying in the private chat, but because I can't multitask. But so anyway, the thing is though, being able to reach out, and sometimes you're just like, I just want somebody to reach out to me. I just want somebody to notice, but people don't know. Right. And, so maybe just trying to take that one small step, whatever it may be, like find a church and go. And if that's not the one, find another one. Drive to Tom's church. He'll love it. So go say hi to Tom. Right. So, but a lot of times, like this is the season, we see a lot more people calling to get in to see a counselor, right? So because there's so, I mean, it's not just, there's sometimes there's family issues, but so many people are lonely. They're feeling the depression. They're really feeling the anxiety, and reach out, right? And keep reaching out, because I will tell you, like, therapists are busy too, right? A lot of people take vacation this time of year. It may take a minute to get in, and don't be put off by that. So it's an important thing, and because there are people who do care, and if all else fails, you know what? There are so many places looking for people to help. Just they want you to volunteer. We talked about, Tom was talking about, like, we feel good when we give back. There's so much truth in that, and it's not that we do it for the so we feel good, or so we get blessed too, but that is a byproduct, and that's well researched. And so, reaching out, finding some place to volunteer. Um, if you're like, I'm lonely, but I don't know about people, your local animal shelter is always looking for dog walkers, right?
Yeah.
Start there. Start with the puppies or the kittens. I don't know. Um, but just getting out there and finding some way to give back has such a good benefit to us. Um, and if you need ideas, hey, shoot one of us a message. We'll let you know. So that's my 2 cents.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's imperative that everyone listening to us gets plugged into a church, and it's not to just plug churches where but it's also important for your spiritual health, but it also for your emotional and physical health. I've conducted so many funerals in the past, and these people at their most darkest moments, seasons in their life, are walking through it alone because they don't have a a community surrounding them. Perhaps they don't have any family left, and they're all alone. And it's really sad. But to be plugged into a church, to have community, to have fellowship, for a group of people to pick you up when you're down, to walk through the journey with you when you're happy, when you're sad, all those moments, you have a family, a church family of people to walk through this journey with you. And if you're not experiencing that at your church, perhaps it's the wrong church. Find a place where people are community driven. When I say that, I mean people who are there for encouraging the body, right? To lift up the body. And of course, you need to be a part of that too. How can you help? Not just going to a place where you can be treated like royalty, but how can you treat others like royalty? How can you be a blessing to them and their life? I think that's so powerful when we are in an environment like that. I know it's hard, especially for the introverted. It's hard to find or to take that step of faith to go into a church of people that don't even know you. But I know that there are churches, probably on most corners, that will welcome you in and make you a part of their church family, and love on you, and care for you, and encourage you, and pray for you, and all of those wonderful things. And it's powerful to be connected to a community. Just like today, showing up at the church, and my vehicle was stuck in the driveway, and one of the guys in our church just said, "Hey, can I come over and help you?" And can you get you digged out of the driveway, dug out, I guess it's the word. But I appreciate that, right? And so that's what community is all about, is having that connection with people. And so let's be others minded this season, and ongoing, not just for Christmas time, but all the time. Let's be grateful for the people God has placed in our life. And some people are like sandpaper to us, aren't they? But I've heard this before. They're like sandpaper, but God uses them to buff off those rough edges in our life to make us better. And so, how many need that? But let me tell you this quick story. So, there was this guy across the street from our church that we used to go to. and he was, oh my God, he was so um so rotten. I guess that's the word to say. It was so rotten, and he was yelling out racial slurs to our church staff. He was just causing all kinds of havoc and grief for us. You know, he's complaining about the people parking in front of his house across the street from the church there. So we went to the full extent of painting the curb out in front of his house and instructing our people not to park where that paint was, you know, just to alleviate some of the grief that we were causing him. And one day he ended up in the hospital, and our pastors um, felt that the Lord led them to go and pray for him at the hospital. My goodness, you could have given him $1 million. He was so tickled and so blessed that they would take time to come and pray for him, even after he had been so rude and crude. And would you know it, that after he got out of the hospital, by the way, he gave his life to Jesus. And would you know it, we could not keep him away from the church. And he couldn't do enough for the church following that. So there's perhaps these Grinches that are living right next door to a church or right next door to you. And they're a thorn in your side only because they're just reaching out. They just want to be loved. They just want to be noticed. They want what you have. And so reaching out to them can make a difference. And by the way, this man, his name is Joe, and he became such a blessing to us and to me, and participated in the Bible studies I was conducting. And we really became friends during that season. Unfortunately, 2 years later, he passed away. But it just showed the transformation that can happen in somebody's life when someone will take the time, even when the person has had a heart about the size of a pea, and still minister to them anyway, still be a blessing to them anyway, and see that heart of stone being turned into a heart of flesh.
Mm.
Wow, powerful. And to see that transformation myself, knowing that God can do a great transformation, a heart transplant, if you will, into somebody's life, only because someone took the time to reach out and to be a blessing to someone else. And so we can't encourage everybody listening enough to be others minded, especially around this season. As Talora was saying, you know, a lot of us have childhood memories of wonderful Christmases and gatherings with family, and perhaps we don't have that family anymore. And maybe you can be that family to that person, to bring back some of those special memories or special moments in a person's life. But it's important that we be others minded always, you know, and thinking of others more than we do ourselves.
I think it's good. And you know, here I guess here's the difficult challenge, right? Like it's those Grinches, right? Those people who so often are just the mean, nasty ones who so desperately want connection. And you know, we can look at it and say, well, it doesn't make sense. Like, why are they so mean and nasty if they want connection? Well, because it's fear, right? Fear is taken, like, you know, they want connection, but you know, they've probably been hurt before. And how do you find that way into their lives and into their being? And sometimes you don't know what that thing will be, but you keep trying, right? In small ways, you know, even, and because you just don't know what's going to make a difference. But sometimes it's that consistency too, of just like, you know, you could be mean and nasty, like I'll still be kind to you, I'll still think about you. um and but that's hard and scary too, right? On the other side, when you're the ones like, oh, like if I go to their house, what's going to happen? You know, if I knock on that door, you know, because nobody wants to be treated badly. We avoid it like the plague if we can. And so find a partner, right? There's people who go with you, right? Um, when Laura and I worked in child welfare, we took safety partners, right, to places where we're like, yeah, it might be dangerous. I don't know what we were gonna do. Like one of us was gonna run away and call the police or something, while the other one was being attacked. I don't know, but you know, so, but you know, sometimes it is. It's like, you know what, you've got, if you have connections with people, take somebody with you, and and just do it, and like keep at it. And like I said, that might be the person that you prayed God to put into your direct line of sight, right? And you're like, yeah, but I didn't mean that one.
Exactly. May not know. Talora, you want to try to chime in here?
I don't know. Can you hear me? Is it
We can
fuzzy?
hear
Yeah.
Mr. Roboto, right?
When you speak, it's fine. When we speak, it's not. So just
Yeah,
speak
that's the weirdest thing.
and then mute when you're done.
Okay. Yeah. No, I said I was doing this with the phone because that's all we had was a phone or a pager. So you just whip that at people if you're in danger. So, but I think that, we've all of us have talked about just connecting. And that's what it is. I mean, that's what the church is, right? Connect church.
Connection
Because
point.
it's really what it is. God created us for relationship. And he wants relationship with us too. So what is it? It's going out into the community. It's connecting with people. It's showing people the love. Like I said earlier, that we're known by our love for each other. And that spills over it out into the world. And the world needs to see that. They don't know the true definition of love without Christ. So that's pretty much all. I will mute.
That was good, Talora. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think that when we can be thoughtful and intentional and putting others first above ourselves, more than what we want. I always get uncomfortable when people say, "I think you unmuted me or unmuted yourself, Talora."
I did. It's not doing it anymore.
It is doing it.
Oh, crap.
Woo! All right. So, what was I going to say? Oh, I always get uncomfortable around this season when people ask, "Well, what do you want for Christmas?" I'm like, you know what? I could list a whole bunch of things, but what I really want more than anything is connection, is time with my family. Because as you said to Laura, we can't get that back, right? And no memento, no thing is really going to make that difference, right? Because the things will fade away. Even somebody blessed us with, and we hold on to it and cherish it, but one day it's just going to turn to dust. It's not going to be worth anything in a long scheme of time. But the time together, making a difference in somebody's life, having no regrets, saying, you know what, I felt the need to meet with my family, with my friends, or with the neighbor next door, and I don't want to have any regrets saying I wish I would have, or the woulda, shoulda, coulda kind of thing. But that we are intentional this season and all year long, but be intentional to make a connection with people this year. And you know what? Make it one person. Make a difference in one person's life. Start with one. As I've shared many times, this story about the starfish, right? There's a million starfish washed up on the shore, and this man is out there picking one up and throwing it in the water, and picking another one up and throwing in the water. And another man walks up and he says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm saving these starfish." He says, "You're not going to make a difference. There's millions of them." He picks another one up. He says, "I'm making a difference to this one, and I'm making a difference to this one," and so forth. And so make a difference. There might be a million people, but make a difference to one.
I was going to say when you were saying that too, I thought you were going to go off into the Jesus and the sheep, that he left the 99 just to find the one. That's how important even if it's just one.
Hmm.
And who we were talking last week too about the 10 leopards, right? That Jesus healed and only one stayed to worship him. I mean, one matters. And yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Ben?
Um, and you know what I was thinking too. I mean, even in the work like Tor and I do, you know, I mean, it's one-on-one counseling, right? And like, um, it makes a difference in that one person's life. And and I think our tendency sometimes is like, well, it's all or nothing. Like I have to like reach out to everybody, or we feel like we're a failure. You know, like, but you give yourself permission. It only has to be one person. I mean, don't be surprised if it becomes more, but just one. You know, and set a realistic goal. You know, somewhere in our archives we've got a thing. We think we talked about goals once upon a time. Go find it. I don't know when we did it. It's probably 2024, but you know, um, you know, but finding just something, right? Someone to do. And you know what? If you really don't know who to reach out to, you know, and you do go to church, right? Ask your pastor, right? Ask ask whoever's in charge of women's ministry or your food pantry or whatever ministries you have in your church. I am pretty sure they will be able to give you the name of somebody who has been on their radar that they're like that person really needs somebody to reach out to them.
Mm, that's good. Yeah, ask a pastor. He probably knows, or she probably knows what is going on in the community and where you can invest your time or your resources to be a blessing to others. But remember this, that when we're helping that one or two people or whatever the case may be, that we're not doing it to get a pat on the back, that we don't have any other ulterior motives going on, that we truly just want to be a blessing to someone else and make a difference in somebody else's life. And I guarantee you, when you make a difference in somebody else's life and they are just over the moon because you thought of them, it's going to bless you as a result anyway. So give, the Bible says, and it shall be given to you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over shall others give to you. So when we give, it starts this chain reaction that others start giving to you in some fashion or form. So be a giver. Jesus talked about the widow's mite, right? The two pennies, if you will. She gave of all that she had in the offering. Where others were giving out of their abundance, she was giving out of her lack. And so even with two pennies, she made her way into the Bible. She was talked about more, obviously, than those who were gathered in that same room giving much. But because she gave little. And so every person has something to give. It can be something small, but it's meaningful if it's coming from you and making difference to somebody else's life. They will just be blessed if you do something like that. And so we're not just talking about Christmas. You were talking about the holidays, Ben, I think at the top of this discussion. And of course, we're getting ready to encounter Christmas. We just celebrated Thanksgiving. That was all wonderful. But even beyond the Christmas holiday, how can we be thoughtful in reaching out to people on an ongoing basis? How does that? Did you want to wrap up?
Let's wrap it up. I think
Let's
that's
bring it in
right.
for a
That was a good
landing. So,
closer.
do either of you have anything to share before we wrap up?
No, I would just say, you know, I like, you know, it is like making sure that we do this all the time, right? I mean, it's so heightened at this time of year, but don't forget when January 1st comes, right? Because it's, you know, you want the holidays, you know, it's like yay, or is it grrr, right? Like, which is it going to be? I mean, we actually get to make that choice in how it will be for us. We actually, that is our decision. And, you know, if it's kind of been, you know, not so great for you, choose otherwise. Do something different. Reach out to somebody else, and you might notice, like, oh, like I actually enjoyed this holiday.
Awesome. That's great. Well, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you all for joining us today on this episode of The Gathering Place. Again, we want to hear from you. If you have any thoughts, comments about this discussion, or ideas about future shows, we'd like to hear from you on that note. And so how can people get in touch with you and Talora, Ben?
So our website's the best place, quiescounseling.com, Quies counseling.com. Email, you can message us right through there, connect to our Facebook through it. And probably other things on there I don't even remember that I put on there, but you can get a hold of us through that.
Absolutely. Yes. And again, we want to encourage you to get plugged into a church, connect with people, find a community in a church community, not just a clubhouse or something, but a church community that can pray for you and encourage you. But if you need something deeper, connect with Ben and Talora and their counseling service. And then you can reach me if you have any questions or comments at pastortomray@gmail.com. Love to hear from you and to respond. If you have a prayer request or anything like that, we'd love to pray with you as well. So without further ado, I want to say thank you once again